Yeah, let's do a little fill in the blank before we take our final break of the program. The team that made the biggest upgrade at quarterback is who?
Well, it's the team we were just talking about, Mike, and that would be the Broncos. And the reason is, since Peyton retired after 2015, there's been this constant search for quarterbacks, 11 in all. Russ will be the 12th to start at quarterback for the Broncos. But you just think about the names that have started at quarterback, the Trevor Simeons and the Paxton Lynches and the Case Keenums and the Brock Osweilers and Joe Flacco and Drew Lock and all these guys. All of those guys, this guy's a huge franchise upgrade over any of those guys that they've had since Peyton Manning retired. They've tried every which way to find one. It didn't work with the draft. It didn't work signing one in free agency. They hope it works in a trade. This is a proven guy. To me, that's easily the best answer here of the upgrade at quarterback.
I think it's the Browns, just because Baker Mayfield was middle of the pack at best. They get Deshaun Watson, who's top 5. Once he clears the issues that can't be ignored. As I explained today on PFT, and we've been kicking around this idea that it's not just a matter of Deshaun Watson being suspended when the dust settles on the pending 22 civil cases. It's the possibility he gets put on paid leave until those cases are resolved, and I think there's a real possibility that happens and that maybe Watson and his camp don't understand that risk. Regardless, at some point he's playing. And at some point, he's dramatically better than Baker Mayfield, and he makes the Browns into a consistent contender. The team that downgraded the most, downgraded at quarterback, Charean, is who?
Well, I'm going to go with the Seahawks because as it stands right now, they're starting Drew Lock, and Pete Carroll did say they want Geno Smith back, and they also have Jacob Eason on their roster. But it's really hard for me to believe that Lock's going to start this season for them. But right now, he's in line certainly to do that. He will compete with Geno Smith if they indeed do re-sign Geno Smith. But just find it really hard to believe. 8-13 in 21 starts, 25 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. To go from Russell Wilson to Drew Lock, to me, is just a huge downgrade.
But at least they got the picks that came with it. They got the huge package that they can use to rebuild the team. They can maybe use to get a quarterback. The Falcons downgraded from Matt Ryan to Marcus Mariota, and all they got was a third-round pick net on this. So, Marcus, nice guy, and we've interviewed him at the Super Bowl in the past. He's had a hard time staying healthy. He hasn't been effective. He never fulfilled his promise as the second overall pick coming out of Oregon back in 2015, and that is a huge step down for the Falcons, and it makes me wonder what their plan really is, and could they end up drafting someone in round 1 as they try to move forward post Matt Ryan. All right, the next quarterback domino to fall will be who, Charean?
Well, I'm not sure any of these will happen before the draft, Mike, but I know the Browns have to get rid of Baker Mayfield at some point. I mean, that much is obvious, so I'm going to say Baker Mayfield just because it has to happen, whether it's a trade, whether it's the Browns releasing him, whatever it is, they've got to move on from Baker at some point. So I'm going to say Baker, and especially with Jimmy Garoppolo coming off that shoulder surgery, I'm going to go with Baker.
The part of me that loves chaos wants to say Kyler Murray, just because that would be something. If the Falcons decide to make a play for Kyler Murray, or somebody else, if the Panthers decide to make a play for Kyler Murray and can pull it off. Now, the Cardinals have a lot of say in this, but if those two sides are at a fundamental impasse about what Kyler Murray is going to make, that's reason for the Cardinals to think about making a move. And again, we don't know what's going on there. We just know some weird stuff went down within the past several weeks. It seems to have settled down, but that doesn't mean it's going to be settled in a way that secures Murray's future with the team. And when he sees all these other quarterbacks getting what they want, he may decide, I want to go somewhere where they're going to pay me what I'm worth. And the Cardinals aren't going to do it. They want me to prove it some more. I've proven it. That could be the thing that drives a wedge that either results in a divorce this year or next year. But I'm not going to say that yet. I'm going to say Jimmy G, just because he's the other one that the 49ers better do something. Or, I still think there's a chance that they've backed themselves into a corner by overvaluing Jimmy Garoppolo. They waited too long to pull the trigger on a trade, and maybe they'll just decide to keep him for one more year. Just keep him. Just let Trey Lance have another year to develop. You got Jimmy Garoppolo under contract, and we'll see if we can run it back one more time, and maybe maybe get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. They almost got there last year with Jimmy G. I don't think it's a smart thing if they do it, and it would cause concern about whether or not Trey Lance is ever going to be the guy, Charean. But I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that Garoppolo stays with the 49ers.
Oh, I don't either, especially for what they might get for him, Mike. I think he might be more valuable to the 49ers than to some other team, than the picks they would get to send him to some other team. And you think back to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua. Eventually, the Dolphins had to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick because he was holding up the development of Tua. So they had to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick. But you remember that rookie year of Tua. I mean, they kept replacing him with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you certainly could see that happening in San Francisco. And you wonder if that would stunt the growth of Trey Lance if they continue to do that with Jimmy G.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.